Whatever you hate or judge in another person is your insecurity. Every time you look at someone and you hate something about them, it could be their skin color, their personality, their tribe, their accent, their confidence, anything you judge in another person is your insecurity. This happens a lot in our communities, in workplaces, schools, and even our own homes. And actually, this is the cause of bullying and racism and every other kind of hatred in the world today. I personally has been a victim a number of times, and sometimes I'm the one projecting my insecurity in form of hatred towards another person. And by the way, my name is Joy. I am a survivor of childhood abuse. Thankfully, through the years, the Lord has taken me through healing. And this is actually what motivated me to start speaking about childhood trauma and every topic related to childhood trauma. If you're new to this channel, I invite you to walk this journey with me. And you can do this by subscribing, liking, and sharing. Still speaking about insecurity, sometimes it may not be spoken at all, but it may just be a random thought. You look at someone and you just hate them, you hate their appearance, and you do everything in your mind to separate yourself from them. The reason is because you hate to associate with this aspect of them, you hate to associate and identify with this aspect of them because your brain interprets it as bad and unpleasant, painful, or unacceptable. And it's by nature that our brain will do everything it can to escape from a stimuli which it considers painful, unacceptable, unpleasant, or bad. So we judge, hate, segregate other people because of their unique qualities, because these unique qualities are a threat to the ideologies, stereotypes, and beliefs that are already stored in our brains. These stereotypes, beliefs, and ideologies get implanted in our brains to the personal experiences we have had to live and the belief system of the society we live in. In summary, the society and the world we live in shapes how we think, what we consider acceptable, what is unacceptable, what is considered bad or not bad. In his book, The Myth of Normal, Gabor Mete, I don't know that this is the correct pronunciation of his name, but he mentioned the statement that caught my attention. He wrote, "With our minds, we construct the world we live in. However, before our minds can create the world creates our minds. We then generate our world from the mind the world instilled in us before we had any choice in the matter." And this is actually true that the world we live in is a product of other people's minds, and we are never going to run out from this fact. Actually, everything we see in the world today, every technology, every ideology, first began as someone's thought, then action, what it did tonight. Insecurity is a lack of confidence or certainty about oneself. So an insecure person doubts their worth, abilities, or appearance. And because of this, they're always cautious about what another person thinks of them and will always seek validation and approval from others. An insecure person may feel jealous or threatened about another person's quality, which they know is good, but they will not admit that it's good. And so they're going to look for something else to try to downplay this person to make them feel better themselves. Insecurity is usually as a result of past experiences like neglect, rejection, or trauma. In other words, childhood trauma brings about insecurities. A child who grows up with toxic, insecure parents will always have the insecurity of the parents ingrained in them. These insecurities will then be planted in their minds as true, which they're going to keep projecting to everyone else around them. So when such a person brings up an ideology, most times it's going to be about the negative view of himself and those around him. A person who does not like themselves will always project that hate to others. And with the introduction of social media, this has even gotten worse. We always see this in the beauty industry, with the rise of beauty aesthetics. Here, people set up their own unrealistic standards of what beauty should be and look like. For example, you should be of a certain skin color. In order to be beautiful, you should have a certain shape, a body shape. You should have a certain body size in order to be beautiful. And since in this era most people have access to mobile phones, spreading such destructive ideas has really become easy. It doesn't take many people to bring up an idea. It takes only one person to film something which they consider is true, and it will spread all over the world like a wildfire. And I think this is the nature of humans, that we tend to believe the lie other than the truth. Just imagine two people come up with two ideas. One is the truth, another one is a lie. You'll find out that most people will go for the lie instead of the truth. And I think that is just the nature of humans. A child born in this era will grow up knowing this is gospel truth and that everyone should believe it. Therefore, the negative ideology will take a turn in their mind, and this becomes the truth they live with all their lives, unless someone comes up to challenge this ideology. When our minds are distorted, what our natural senses perceive will simply be a reflection of what is programmed and what is already programmed and stored in the brain. So whatever we look at will not be any different from what the brain already knows. Let me give an example. About a year ago, I moved to a different district to study. And of course, in different regions, we have different cultures. So one time I was moving with one of my colleagues, and she brought to my attention a concept I had never paid attention to. She told me how she hated how people in that region overpower themselves and overdress unnecessarily. I was immediately taken aback. I was so surprised because I had never noticed it. In fact, I hadn't. In fact, it was a new concept to me. Guess what happened the next day? I woke up seeing everyone else in the town overdressed. And I was like, why didn't I notice it before? Well, there was no such information yet in my brain. Now that my brain had a reference, I could see it. It is a common saying in our societies that the eyes always see what it knows. And I had this statement a lot in medical school, especially during interpretation and imaging studies. Everyone else would see a fracture, but I would wonder, like, where on earth is this structure? And it was worse with ultrasound interpretation. Because what are you calling the gallbladder? I kept seeing it. But with time, as you keep exposing yourself to this information, your brain gets more and more sensitized. It gains more and more information. And with time, it becomes normal. You begin to see what each and everyone is saying, and it becomes actually normal. And so this is the same in our everyday life. For example, when someone says this person is dirty, the next time you see that person, they're indeed going to have at least something dirty about them. But before you couldn't see. But now that they told you, you're seeing the dirt. This is what insecurity does to us. It distorts our perception of everything, how we look at ourselves and those around us. In my own life, one of my parents was a very insecure person. They was insecure about so many things, and weight was one of them. And as a child, I was really skinny and always fell below the weight of all my age mates. I had no appetite at all, and it's now that I connect the dots and realize that the trauma I experienced as a child might have been part of the reasons behind it. I always remember being forced to eat to the extent that sometimes I couldn't take it anymore because to my parent I was looking unpleasant, I was looking not good. In fact, she always complained about my weight. She always despised my weight and complained and quarreled and scolded me for my weight and always forced me to eat. As a result, I developed insecurity about my weight. I was always cautious about what people will talk about me, what they will say, what they are thinking about me, and I was always feeling uncomfortable. And also, sometimes I would look at the other people who were small and I also despised them because of because the insecurity had gotten in me. It has almost become a norm nowadays that when many people begin talking about the same, it becomes normal. We find it normal. And nowadays, you will find random people meeting you and they begin dictating how you should dress, the colors you should love. Whatever they love is what you should love, and what they hate is what you should hate. Nowadays, it's not uncommon for random people to meet you and start dictating how you should live your life. I once had a female friend. She had every negative thing about my hair whenever she met me. She always threw negative comments at whatever hairstyle I would make. She would complain about the color. Why did you play this color? Why did you make this style? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? And surprisingly, she was one who doesn't even plait hair. In fact, she had never even plaited hair. Sometimes these negative comments can really be subtle. For example, someone tells you, you're beautiful, but you're a bit so skinny, or you're a bit, short. I wish you were taller. I wish you were lighter, as if being unique was a crime. Sometimes when you go ahead to confront it, someone says, well, I'm just being concerned. I care about you. But if you truly care about me, then you wouldn't be segregating parts of my body and accepting parts of my body. Because where do you expect me to take parts of my body that you don't like? This truly means that if parts of my body that you love got a problem, then you wouldn't love me anymore. Well, then that wasn't love in the first place. It's funny that nowadays people even make friends out of aesthetic reasons. You have to be tall, you have to be of a certain dress, or you have to be a certain size in order to be a friend to someone. No wonder we complain a lot about fake friends nowadays, and yet we chose it. Honestly, we chose it. We complain about fake friends, but honestly, we chose it because we ignored natural connections over physical appearance, and we go for physical appearance other than natural connection. Sadly, so many young people today are falling for this trap. People go for so many dangerous surgeries just to meet the aesthetic standards of beauty. You change parts of your body because someone says you're unattractive. So listen to me today. Before you feel bad about yourself or hate someone because of their unique qualities, understand the reason why you feel this way. It's because of what you have stored up in your brain, the information you're fed on. So before you feel bad about yourself or hate another person because of their unique qualities. So before you feel bad about yourself and hate another person because of their unique qualities, understand this. The information you're fed on determines your perception of the world. It will determine how you look at yourself and how you look at others. So don't try to change parts of your body, or don't expect anyone to do so because you don't like them or you don't like yourself. So the thing you should change is your mindset. The information you've fed your brain on, that is what you should change, because you have no problem, and your eyes that sees what you see doesn't have any problem, but your eyes just receives a command from your brain to see what it sees. So when you only change the information in your brain, your eyes will see different. You will feel different about yourself because what you see is just a result of what is already in your brain. So if you change the information in your brain, then you're going to feel better. You're going to see yourself in a different perspective. Just like ideas change over time, these beauty aesthetics, the beauty standards also change over time because people are continually thinking and bringing up new ideas and beliefs and ideologies. You never know the time, the day you go for the surgery is the time another person will come up with another idea. And the same people who told you, who looked down on you, who said, why don't you change this? Why don't you change that? You don't maybe look good because of this. Will tell you why you changed that in the first place. You get to understand that this is actually a mind game and not the truth. What then do you say to people who approach you with all these negative comments? What I always tell people is simple. I tell them I like me, plus everything they think is wrong about me. And I'm never going to change that for them. And if they continue, I walk away. Of recent, I met a lady. I was attending a certain function, and she met me, and at first she was really nice. She told me, "Oh my God, you look so beautiful. You're so smart." But what surprised me was the next time she met me, she looked at me and she said, "No, why have you tied your tie like that?" Well, that time I was wearing a tie, And because I'm a lady, I'm not a gentleman, so I have so many options of tying my tie. And she's like, you don't know how to tie a tie? And when I told her I did that intentionally and I like it, she told me, well, you look so shabby. And I was so surprised because it was the same person just a few minutes ago who had told me how smart I was. So that is how people's ideas change. So you can change yourself at every idea every other person brings up. You got to stand for what you believe, and you have to get rid of the negative thoughts you believed over time. Don't change yourself or feel bad about yourself out of the pressure from anyone, because it's not your problem to fix, it's their problem to fix. It's their problem to work on their mindset, to work on how they see things, to work on the information they feed on. It is their problem. The only truth that you believe 100% is what God says about you. In Psalm 139, verse 14, the psalmist says, I'll praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And so I want to leave this with you. You are perfect, and there is nothing more to change in you. If this content resonated with you, I kindly ask you to subscribe, like, leave a comment, and share. See you in the next video.